I had this idea to walk backwards every day for 40 days in a row here in July, August, and a little bit of September 2024. I used to walk backwards almost every single day since the pandemic for several years. I took a little time off and now I'm back at it. And what's going to happen is every single day I'm going to record my thoughts and feelings that's going on for me in real time about the creative process or whatever else comes up for these 40 days. And you're going to hear, maybe 5 to 7 minutes per day of, the best of recorded during that live walking backwards for about a quarter to a half of a mile per day, and it's in real time, so I'm really walking backwards as I'm talking with you outside. So enjoy the whole episode. This is the Maiden One. This is episode number 1, and here we go. During the pandemic, I started this daily practice, and it was born out of boredom, really, but also as a way to help my perception. And I wanted to be able to expand my ability to perceive. And as a lot of you know, I also spend a lot of thought around breaking cycles and complementing, finding the other side, if you will, of activities. So one of my examples is that when you get out of the shower, my habituated pattern is to take my left leg up, dry off my left leg, then pivot and dry off my right leg. So it's always left leg first, then right leg. So I would become aware of it, and then I would consciously, in the moment, have the intention of switching it up, but catching myself before I did the old pattern. So in other words, not going to sleep, if you will, in my choice, but keeping it active so that I would actively choose my right leg first that morning. So following that pattern, the irony, following that pattern, I went, okay, how else can I break patterns? And as some of you also know, I do a lot of breathing. So I was slowing my breath. I still do have a daily practice of slowing my breath down to 1 breath cycle a minute. That's breaking a pattern. And I look for the most habituated, the most unconscious, the most everyday. And so during the pandemic, when we were all locked down and nowhere to go, nothing to do, I was doing a morning walk, and I thought, walking backwards, always walking to my future is always walking forward. And I went, what if I walk backwards? In other words, what if my future, which to most people are unknown, to all of us are unknown, the future is unknown, it's co-created. And what if the co-created future comes into my perception through my periphery? I have the intention, because I'm walking backwards, but I don't focus on it. I allow it. My intention is to move forward. My future is, I'm moving towards my future without having a visual target on it. I'm trusting, because I'm trusting that whatever is there is going to be supporting me. I keep taking my steps even though I have a sense of everything being well. I have a feeling of everything being well, but I don't have the sense of visually staying connected to my future, to that one spot. And I allow the present moment to reveal itself through my peripheral vision, through my peripheral sensibility. And in that process, so many things happen. So many things happen both known and unknown to me. And the whole time I keep my focus gently gazing at a point that's in my past. So I get to have my past fall away, if you will, visually speaking, and my future reveals itself through the moment, in the moment. And that's a really interesting element, to have my future reveal itself, but only in the moment of it happening, through my peripheral, and what other thoughts and feelings come up around as I do that. So that was my practice, and I have done it almost every day since spring of 2020. And now I go anywhere from maybe as little as a quarter mile, I think, to as much as a half a mile. So it's not for a short period of time, because I really want to have that sensibility. And it's not about speed either. It's about being with what is and noticing. And the world goes by in a different way because of it. What I notice, potential for being different as well. And as I'm recording this, I'm actually doing it. And sometimes I even do phone calls while doing this practice. And it's uninterrupted, meaning it's continuous. I don't stop and start. I don't turn around for a little while. Obviously, if there's something unusual, I will recalibrate, if you will, kind of check it out, make sure everything's safe. But the flow is there. And I also tend to do it most of the time where I'm walking west, and I do it in the morning, so the morning sun is facing me as I walk towards the west. So for the next 40 days, I'm going to take you along with me on my morning backwards walking, and we're going to talk about the creative process. We're going to talk about breaking patterns and opening up perception and mental and physical relaxation in terms of having a new baseline for performance, and perhaps even shifting the word performance to being witnessed, and how that changes things, and how we perceive things changes how we feel about things. Because isn't that one of the key, if you will, cornerstones of most transformational stories? Is that the person, the main character usually, has a perceptive change. And that perceptive change leads to new thoughts and feelings, which leads to new behaviors. And that is at the heart of those kinds of transformational stories. I'm thinking right now of Dallas Buyers Club. Dallas Buyers Club is a good example because the lead character has a very strong thought and feeling about gay men specifically, and he has a certain lifestyle and a certain group of people around him that support that. Then he has an encounter with a specific gay guy in the hospital, which makes that come forward. And through a series of experiences, he slowly, and that's one of the cool things about that film, he slowly starts to perceive that guy differently, his relationship to that guy differently, how that guy relates to the world, and he has more empathy. And then by the end of the narrative, he relates to the same person differently. And his thoughts and feelings about that person are different because his perception is different. But it's not just an intellectual pursuit, it's a visceral feeling that he has based on those perceptual changes. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how we can look at the world differently as artists, as writers, as human beings, as characters. And we can do it for ourselves, we can do it for our characters, we can do it for our narratives. And because of that, we can live richer, fuller, lighter, which is part of walking backwards, opening up the perception, wider, expansive. And in that expansion is that creative process. In that expansion is my ability to take in more, to the point where the expansion is so wide and the perception is so broad and the ability to allow is so big, life gets bigger, not so small anymore. And that's how it goes back to a full circle, if you will, around our ability to keep expanding, because we live in a universe that is continually expanding. And if we look at nature on this planet, it is in constant expansion or renewal. And it does have contraction as well, because we live on this planet. Well, thanks for coming along on day one of backward walking with Joshua Townsend.